Hey everybody, I'm Kelcie and this is Cassidy and Katie. And thanks so much for coming to our YouTube channel where we talk about the course Write Your Way to Freedom. A lot of people have a lot of questions and we have three different unique answers from three people who have actually taken the course. So we hope that you find this information helpful. Feel free to browse all of our questions in the notes below. And if you have any other questions, feel free to leave them and we'll try and get to them in one of our next recordings. Thanks so much for joining us today. This video is one that felt really important to all of us because we feel like it's essential for us to acknowledge the privileges that we have and how those might have affected our success within Write Your Way to Freedom. In the coaching world and the influencer world, entrepreneurial world, a lot of times people will not bring up the privileges that they had while going through something that you similarly might go through. And so we just all wanted to take a little bit of time today to talk about what privileges kind of enabled us to be successful within the course, just for complete and total transparency for anybody who's learning about our experiences taking Write Your Way to Freedom. So do one of you guys want to start or do you want me to kick it off?
Take it away, Kels.
So the privileges that I think that most directly influenced my success when it came to when I started taking Write Your Way to Freedom, first things first, I did have a 9-to-5 job that was really comfortable and also maybe required 20 to 30 hours a week from me, even though it was paying me a full-time salary. And so I made it my priority to get everything in my job done and taken care of. And then after that, I would start working on Write Your Way to Freedom. So it wasn't like I was taking the plunge from like not having a job and taking the course and trying to make money from that, because I think that would have been maybe a little bit more of a stressful situation and might have impacted my business because I would have had more of a scarcity mindset because I had less to lose because I already had a full-time job when I was going out and pitching and trying to find clients. Two, my husband is our breadwinner. He's a VP of finance. And so even if I did decide to make the jump and not have any clients, I knew that my lights would stay on. We would still have groceries, everything. Our mortgage would be taken care of. And that, I think those two things are the things that I think of that were the biggest because money wasn't necessarily a worry for me. And that's not to say that if money is a worry for you, that Write Your Way to Freedom won't work, because there are a lot of folks that do sign up for Write Your Way to Freedom because it is a more feasible and economical way for them to make more money. I just happen to be in a pretty comfortable situation. And then other than that, I wouldn't say I have like the best network in the sustainability field, but I did have enough friends that I could lean on to say, hey, you have a sustainable e-commerce business. Can I write your blog posts to get a testimonial from you? And they were willing to help me out with some of that, which gave me credibility in my niche really quickly. And so having those friends, I would say, did help me get those pieces too. That said, I don't think I've ever had a friend pay me. So it's not like financially they were like, yeah, girl, but it was like, it did help me just like get a little foot in the door. And also they have recommended me out to some people that throughout the last like year and a half. And I think, yeah, I think those are the two big ones that I want to start with. But if either of you, I might pop in as you talk about your privileges as well.
Yeah, I'll echo a lot of that. I love that you touch on not just the privileges, but also the flip sides of that, because I think it can be a both and situation. So I wholeheartedly agree with having a partner who keeps like the nuts and bolts of your finances afloat. I, before this, was just part-time freelancing for fun mostly, but like was a stay-at-home mom. So even though anyone who's ever done that knows like the value that that brings to a family and the tens of thousands of dollars it saves you and not having childcare, it still wasn't like no one was depending on me, like you said, to pay a mortgage or to pay utility bills. So for me, it was more like, okay, if I'm going to do this more than part-time, then I need to figure out, then my job is to pay for childcare. My job is to essentially pay for myself to cover the cost of what I do for no compensation. So it wasn't like a dollar for dollar exchange. It was just a simple math. So it became very clear to me in the beginning, if I was going to do this and I was going to put my daughter in preschool because she was turning 3, how much was that a month? And so it was like $860, I think, a month was like, okay, this is what I now need to make because this is what we're doing. So there's still, there was a financial goal in place, but like I wasn't quitting a job, starting from zero, fully responsible for anyone's sustenance. And then I will say too, a big privilege, was just access to childcare and the ability to make that money and pay for it. But also, I think having, like you said, Kels, just having those connections that maybe will get you actual paid work, but also will just kind of give you a little bit of that credibility. Because I think that's the scariest part of starting a business from scratch, is that idea of starting from scratch. And I had been fortunate enough to freelance for Meredith Corporation, who is like the parent company for Better Homes and Gardens, Real Simple, Food and Wine. I wasn't, with the exception of some Better Homes and Gardens articles, I wasn't getting a byline in these. My name wasn't on these things. It was native ad, but I still had the ability to tell clients that like this is work I had done, and that carries a lot of weight. And so that was definitely something I was able to leverage. That being said, I think most people who start this journey have that opportunity with something from their past, some sort of work, and you'll learn as a copywriter to like leverage these things well, to not to like be dishonest and like, smoke and mirrors, but just to really see where the benefits of your past experience come in to help you in your niche in the work that you do. But that was definitely a super tangible one for me that translated well for clients. I didn't have to over explain that too much.
Yeah, I think to contribute to that too, because I knew there was going to be things that would pop up as you started talking. It did help me too that I did come from a marketing background, that I was a community manager before that. And before that, I was a social media manager. And I had done some freelancing as a social media manager too. So I knew to like set aside like 30% of what I was making for taxes and pay those quarterly, and like kind of knew how to pitch and find clients in a way, or just like put my name out there so people would know that I was doing that. But I think Katie makes a really good point that it's all about how you're like, you can sell yourself however you need to for it to make sense. And a lot of times it's really cool. We'll see a lot of people come out of teaching or nursing or something like that, and they will be really credible, even though they don't have any marketing experience. They are very credible from day one, because I would have to learn everything about nursing, even though I'm a good writer, and they come in and they already know everything about nursing, and they're just able to hit the ground running as soon as they get the writing foundations down, which takes a lot less time than a nursing degree. So yeah, it's a both and, like Katie was saying.
So I guess my biggest privilege comes in also being married when I decided to start copywriting, because there is something so safe about having two incomes coming into your house. I was also working full time, but my husband's salary was larger than mine. I wasn't in a situation where he could cover all of our bills without my salary, but it was enough to cover the essentials. So like I knew that rent would be paid. I knew that our utilities would be covered. And I knew that we had worked really hard to build this emergency fund that we could pull from if it took me longer to build my copywriting business than I expected. So just having like those foundational pieces in place gave me so much like peace of mind and calm when approaching this whole copywriting thing that you just don't get if you're like a single income household and you have bills to cover and you are like feeling all of this pressure to make that work. So like I'll admit that that did wonders for my mental capacity to really like attack and approach copywriting from this place of, let me see if I can build this thing. So yeah, I was married. We had two incomes coming in. My income was also $32,000 a year, which breaks down to $2,600 a month. And the way Sarah approaches Write Your Way to Freedom, she just makes it so simple to be like, hey, here's how you can make 5K a month or 8K a month. So in my mind, I was like, I only have to make this work a little bit to replace my current salary because it's already so low. And honestly, I had such a scarcity mindset at the time that I couldn't even imagine a world in which I was making $5,000 a month from copywriting. Like it felt so much like a pipe dream that it wasn't even my dream. I was like, my dream is $2,600 a month. And that was my reality at the time. I also had very little debt, which I think is another privilege. I was in the process of paying off student loans, but I didn't have like credit card debt hanging over my head or personal loans or anything like that, which again, just like gave me that peace of mind to approach this. Switching gears to my education, I will die on this hill that I firmly believe that my MBA has done nothing for me. That is what I always tell people. They're like, "Oh, you write in the finance niche. Like, how'd you break in?" And my story is always I was interested in personal finance, and that's how I got started. But the truth of the matter is, I do have a master's in business administration. I've never had a client be like, "Hey, we really want to work with you because we saw that you had an MBA." No one ever brings it up. I really do think that they're only looking at my portfolio pieces, but I'm sure on some level, it has played into getting me some type of client work. So I will acknowledge that there is privilege in having a degree that directly relates to the niche that I'm in. I also do have a marketing background. It's in public relations. And then I was a marketing assistant all throughout graduate school. And then once I started writing in the finance niche, another bit of privilege came from landing a client that allowed me to publish work on their website under my byline. So instead of me ghostwriting for financial advisors like I normally did, I had one client that let me publish articles and it said by Cassidy Horton. And that client really changed the game for my entire copywriting career, because once I had published pieces of work under my name, it just started this snowball effect where I started getting more clients that let me publish under my name. And then those clients became bigger names. Yeah, to the point where now I feel like I have enough bigger client names under my roster to where I can approach any client and have some type of credibility that proves that I know what I'm doing. So yeah.
I just want to make one shameless plug because I know you won't. If you're listening to this and you're like, what the heck is an emergency fund? Cassidy at Money Hungry Freelancers does a really great job of breaking down freelancing, finances. So make sure you head over to her website, moneyhungryfreelancers.com, and she can teach you all about basically the finances of being a freelancer. So make sure you get on her newsletter. Also, all of her emails are like a 90s birthday party. So it's really just a great time all around.
Agreed.
Thank you.
I will also say too, I love that we're talking about this because I do think it's so important for people when they're making a big investment into a program like this, or the time or the energy, all of the things you're going to invest, to understand the reality of people's privilege. And also, like Kelcie mentioned in the very beginning, isn't to say that it's not possible without these things. We, like Sarah on her own YouTube channel has interviewed students, featured them as student success stories who are single mothers and the sole breadwinners for their family, for their children. There are people who have no college degree, who have no real experience, who are just 23-year-olds that are I guess I'm going to do the thing, and freaking do the thing. So I don't want any of this to read as discouraging. It just happens that this is the 3 stories that are being featured here. But like Cassidy said, Sarah breaks everything down so clearly in the program to really empower and equip people to build the business they want. And yeah, if our stories aren't really resonating with where you're at, check out Sarah's YouTube and watch some of the other student success stories, because it's amazing, the breadth of people that she has helped be really successful.
Also thought of another major privilege that Kelcie, you didn't mention either. We don't have any kids. So yeah, work ends and you have all the time in the world to focus on building your copywriting business without having to then transition and take care of a family. So that also played a huge part.
Yeah, absolutely. I also think too that there have been quite a few people that are also taking care of their parents that are in the program as well. And that's not something either of us are experiencing or did experience when we got started in Write Your Way to Freedom. The other thing that I think I just wanted to throw out there, if there is a specific demographic that you're we'd love to see you guys interview. So somebody who is a single mom, or someone who's transitioned out of nursing, or someone who has done any of those specific things, just drop it in the comments and we'll find one or a couple people maybe in the course to come in and interview them, because we want to make sure obviously we don't represent everybody that's in the course. I mean, we're a very small subset of it. We're also all white. That's going to help us out too. But if you want to see someone in the course who has an experience that's more aligned to yours, we absolutely want to find those people too, so you can connect with them as well. So just let us know in the comments and we'll do our best to track down maybe your newest best friend. Who knows? Thanks so much for tuning into our video today. I'm Kelcie and this is Katie and Cassidy. And together we talk about what it's like to be in the program Write Your Way to Freedom, to help you determine if it's the right fit for you or not. If anything from the videos today resonated with you or made you decide yes, this is it, I want to sign up, it would mean the world to us if you used our referral code. For full transparency, we do get a little bit of a monetary kickback every time somebody signs up that we split between the 3 of us. And we also make a $100 donation to World Central Kitchen, which you can find out more information on via the link in our notes. So thanks so much for tuning in and check out the rest of our questions. We've probably answered the one that you have. Bye.